I'm Bill Duncan. I'm a 1968 graduate in master's program from George Williams College, and currently in the senior vice president for George Williams College, Aurora University, and in the process of retiring.
I'm LaVerne Duncan, a 1968 graduate in group work and recreation from George Williams College, married to Bill for the last 43 years, and have spent a majority of that time on this campus.
I had gone to a YMCA camp in the Sierra Nevadas starting when I was 8 years old, and was there every summer until I came to George Williams. So from a camper to an assistant counselor to a counselor to a program director to acting director for a while, and then about my senior year in college, I was deciding that's something I wanted to do, and I'd been active in the Y in Woodland, California, where I grew up, and knew a couple of different YMCA directors, and they said, and there was some signs on the wall and or brochures, and this is where you go. This is where you went if you wanted to pursue a career in the YMCA.
My drive was a little different. Grew up in a farm. Family was very involved in 4-H, and so I went to 4-H camp and did much more rural things. But those experiences and the commitment of my parents to helping other people kind of geared me to, I thought, recreation, and it ended up into group work and social work. So it was not coming from a YMCA background. It was a very different path.
Mm-hmm. The legacy statement as a whole, it's a compilation of I believe, the values that represented George Williams College as we know it, and hopefully will help to guide the development of the college going forward. But I think some of the key elements, again, the importance of balance in your life, and in busy lifestyles, you forget to be involved in physical things, and this kind of nurtures you to look that way. It has encouraged both of us to be very active, and we look at the social side in organizations, whether it be the Boy Scouts, whether it be a camp for underprivileged children, whether it be the Hospital Association, whether it be the Nature Conservancy, whether it be our church or in others. It emphasized the importance of reaching out.
To be engaged in your society, whether you're working or volunteering to carry forth the values that we learned at George Williams, to pass those on to our children, to pass on a value of life, to an appreciation of differences, open-mindedness, to live life fully, and hopefully leave whatever corner of the world we touch a little better place.
As you speak to alums from different campuses and different generations, their experiences were different. And so, but the common thing was preparing people for leadership in human service, caring about the international perspective, working with people. So it's really more a set of values in the campus. I think unlike many colleges, it's at multiple campuses, and sometimes a little disruptive in the way these changes occurred, and so there will be some feelings between alums of various campuses that are different. But but around that is still the core values of the college. George Williams College is not so much an institution of higher learning as a diverse community of higher living, one that fosters a commitment to democracy and the promotion of true citizenship, not only at home, but abroad.
Well, it was really a new world for me. I lived in a kind of beaver-cleaver, Father knows best atmosphere in Kansas City. I grew up in a very homogeneous community. It was before the integration of the schools in Missouri, and I had a wonderful growing up and a wonderful experience in the Girl Scouts, but very homogeneous. But when I got to George Williams, I just was introduced to the rest of the world, and it was a wonderful, eye-opening, great experience for me.
Moving to Chicago in those days was a significant part of my personal growth. Living with other people, in those days there weren't that many black people in Toronto, and having them as roommates and friends and colleagues, having people from all over the world, and understanding where they came from and what they were about, what their goals were, was an important aspect of my education.
Values that we learned while we were attending George Williams College, I believe, are critical to the issues that are coming forth in today's times, not only in this country but around the world. We learned at George Williams College to be able to sit down in a room with all of our differences and respecting one another and working through a process to come to a common decision that was hopefully in best interest of everybody. But I really believe that if we could have more of what we learned at George Williams College out in the country and throughout the world, we'd be a better place.
The George Williams experience expanded your horizons, mind-opening, and once those minds were open, all the differences of cultures poured in, and out of that, hopefully, people grew with an understanding and appreciation and a tolerance, values that we certainly need today.
And while the word democracy doesn't mean in the George Williams sense that it was a vote and the majority ruled, often in the process it was consensus building, looking for what was the common threads that all members of the group could at least accept.
It's pulling everything together. You know, it was not just higher learning, but you were learning and living all in one. It was developing a lifestyle and an appreciation.
And how to examine your own values as well as then look at and acquire new values that might be a part of that living process. Together, the faculty and students seek the good life through small group interaction that values the contribution of all members and nourishes the development of leadership through the interplay of classroom and real-world experiences.
One of the big things for me was that I was fairly shy before I arrived. You know, in high school, the high school I went to was academically very challenging, but there weren't many opportunities for involvement and learning about leadership and that kind of thing. And at George Williams, you were encouraged to participate, you know, experientially. And as I got involved, I developed more practical skills in organization and in, I would say, in leadership skills.
George Williams College life, everything we did literally gave us a better understanding of why we were there, and certainly from that we grew. I certainly wouldn't leave out either the fact that many of us enjoyed working more than we did taking classes, because we were dealing with people and real life situations. And Chicago was just a great place to understand people, to be part of various institutions, and the not-for-profit organizations throughout this city offered wonderful experiences for us to grow in real life situations.
I think that the values that I saw throughout my education at George Williams was an immersion into a work environment. So you were never just reading theory in a textbook. You were always applying it hands-on. We were given the opportunity on campus with the support of faculty that we really didn't recognize were also standing right behind us to hold us up and keep us going. But we were given the opportunity to succeed or fail, and yet failure was never an option.
Part of the genius of George Williams College was the emphasis on the interplay of the real-world experience with the academic in-classroom theory piece. So regardless of whether you were doing an internship in Cabrini Green in Chicago, or as LaVerne was doing one in a senior facility in the city, that you would come back to the classroom and then discuss what was going on. How did that interface with the knowledge you were learning? While in the group process at George Williams College advocated, leadership develops from the group, and there may not be one leader. On this topic, LaVerne's the leader. On another topic, I'm the leader, but it's a natural outgrowth of the groups. So you began to learn how to use the small group as a way to practice, one, your own leadership skills, but recognizing how to bring out leadership in others.
You walk into a group and everybody's an equal partner. They share in the leadership, they share in the dialogue, they also share in the very frank feedback. Some of these sessions may have been a little tense at times, but out of that emerged a deepening of leadership skills.
In cooperation, all seek a larger measure of health and fitness, meaningful work, human comradeship, creative expression in play and recreation, and a spiritual philosophy that gives perspective, direction, and significance to all life.
When I got to George Williams with the diversity of the student body, the small classes, I often say that it gave me the inner power that this is good, and if you work at it and join together, nothing is impossible. And when I was going through some serious health issues, I would close my eyes and go back to some of my times at September Camp and at George Williams, and it got me through, because you have to get your mind somewhere else and not let it get the best of you. And I think George Williams brings out the best in you.
And so what George Williams prepares you for is the chance to learn that giving is the same gift as receiving. And to know that and to go into the world with that knowledge is huge. And I think it has a wonderful legacy of that.
As I look back to one of the reasons that I became a student at George Williams was that its primary goal or mission was to prepare leaders for human service. That's what I see as still the mission today, and that is also very close to, I think, what the underlying mission of Aurora is as well. Because without understanding human nature, none of our agencies or organizations or businesses would exist today. And that was part of the focus of George Williams, to teach you how to understand human nature.
A symbol comes to mind for me. One, there's the most famous symbol for the YMCA is the triangle, body, mind, and spirit. So that is part of what's underlying that. But President Sherrick recently put me on and reminded me of the use of the square in the YMCA. The square included body, mind, spirit, and the social interactions that are a part of your regular life.
You're also expected to be a productive citizen, and when you have these four factors in balance in your own life, you're going to be sharing that with others. You're going to be sharing it in your workplace, in your volunteer activities, in your church groups, whatever you're involved in. You have to balance your life, and then you can help others or be a productive citizen.
Each of the editions of George Williams College reflect the campus that it's on, and this campus is evolving rather dramatically. And so I think it will grow, it will change, it'll be a little different, but hopefully the legacy statement will be the beacon that will help people, the touchstone will let people come back and look at that and make sure that these are the sorts of programs that should be here, that will work here, that won't work here.
I think people will look at it with a great sense of pride and ownership of the George Williams that they knew, that is now flourishing, and that will continue to grow. I feel alumni have every reason to be very proud of this as an institution. and
They still have a home.
they're coming home.